Welcome to the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches. Join Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg, America's family coaches, who bring 4 decades of empowering marriages across the U.S. and internationally for this podcast to equip you and your partner with encouragement and tools for a great marriage. Here now are your hosts, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
Hi, we're Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg, your marriage coaches.
And today, we're going to talk about what have you done for your marriage today?
That's a good question, Barbie.
Yes.
What have you done for your... You made me a turkey sandwich for lunch, brought it into my study. I was preparing for these programs and a date night that we're doing tomorrow night. And you brought in a turkey sandwich and with some potato chips. And you said, you want some baklava? We went to a Turkish restaurant yesterday.
Istanbul.
From Istanbul Cafe.
Yes.
And we were in Greece last summer, and Greece is right across the water from Turkey. And the Turks and the Greeks haven't always gotten along. I think maybe they're getting along good now.
Kind of like the Swedes and the Norwegians.
Kind of like the Swedes and the Norwegians that we talked about last
But let's talk about the food.
Oh, my gosh, Barbie.
Okay, we had the best olive oil I've ever had in my life. Fully recommend it. Really suggest you get a bottle of it. And then we ordered chicken kebab. I have to tell you, it was the most tender, delicious chicken we've ever had. And the chef told us that the secret is to marinate your chicken
for not 5
hours.
18 hours
before you make it.
And so Barbie said, you mean I should marinate this for 18 hours for my husband?
And he said, no, bring him in here and I'll do it for you.
Yeah, that was a good marketing strategy.
So,
to say, no, just bring Gary in here.
So
but it was awesome.
Yes, I was thinking
That's what you did for your marriage yesterday.
Yes.
You took me to the Istanbul Cafe.
Well, actually, it was your idea, and I thank you. It was delightful.
Yes.
Really wonderful. So today, I don't know that I've done as much as you have. You are just on all the time as far as loving me and serving me and being tender.
You're easy to love, Barbie.
Well, thank you. Let's get into today's...
And even after 50-some years.
Thank you. Well, I want to keep my record up.
So we're going to talk about some newbies in marriage. They've only been married 21 years or longer. So to Barbie and me, that seems like a short amount of time. But there's some research that looked at couples married 21 years or longer that said they are still madly in love. And then they isolated 4 variables to discern what is it that they can help other couples learn, that if they do these things, they can be madly in love. And honey, I looked at this and I thought, well, we're doing these 4 things.
Good.
And plus, hopefully we're doing a couple other ones.
Yep.
But I thought, what is it? And if we could help you as our listeners, regardless of your stage of marriage, whether it's your first marriage or a subsequent marriage, whether you're a newlywed, in a tough place, in a hard place, you're doing great. But what do you do for decades to stay madly in love? We're going to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm. There are really 4 very simple practices that we can do. And our research shows that you don't have to spend a lot of money or have lavish vacations. Although those are kind of nice too.
Yeah, you're not turning those down.
We're not turning them down.
We're going to talk about that
but
number 4.
We're going to talk about it and be very, very intentional.
But here's number 1, is staying physically connected. Staying physically connected. And yes, we're talking about sex, but we're also talking about non-sexual touch.
Well, and truly, Gary, I don't want to look the other way with sex because sex really guards your marriage. And besides, you're really supposed to fool around a lot when you're married, and you want to keep the fires going and keep the stoking the fire. And sometimes it's one of you, and maybe the next decade it's someone else. But by golly, there are great health benefits.
You know, honey, I remember we were in South Africa. Do you know the story I'm going to tell?
Well, most likely because we share a lot of experiences together.
Well, we were there for 9 different seasons of tours. And we were in this mega church. In fact, we pulled up with Dr. Amon Kasambala. He was Malawian. So he was from Malawi, and he was the CEO at that time before Graham Schnell. And we pulled up with him in the car, and they were turning people away. I mean, the place was jam-packed. And he said, don't turn anybody away. And the staff was saying, well, the fire marshal's going to have cornea or something. And he said, well, just go ahead, let's get them all in there, because God brought Gary and Barbie all the way from the States in order to do this event. And two things happened during that event. One of them was we were outside at some point, and later on we saw a picture that a photographer took of a husband and a wife sitting on one white plastic chair. The ones you see at Walgreens or something in the foyer during the springtime or summertime. Just kind of a cheesy chair, and they each had one cheek on the chair. They were sharing the chair. They were watching through the window, and I remember I had on kind of a pink shirt. And you can see Barbie and me, we're the little, small people up on the platform. And they had their heads together. Put your head with mine in case anybody's watching on, Instagram or something. And they had their heads together, each just cuddling on that chair. But they were not going to be turned away. They wanted to connect. And during that event, I remember you said, if you take care of Mama, Mama will take care of you. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think you went into a cold sweat or something.
I mean, I thought, if you take care of Mama, Mama take care of you. And I thought, Barbie, I love talking about sex. And we were talking about sex in South Africa. So it was awesome.
Sex is very healing for a marriage.
Sex is healing.
It is. And if your folks didn't tell you that, let us tell you that. And it's there for a purpose. And oftentimes things get in the way. You're tired. Lots of things, kids, inhibited sexual desire. Find the time, make the time, get it on the calendar, and you will be new people on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to get the motors going again. Sex is very good in a marriage. Actually, when sex is good, it's no big deal.
Right.
But what's that you say?
Well, Kevin Lehman says when sex is good, it's about 10% of the marriage. Mm-hmm. But when there are marital problems, sex can be 90% of the issue.
It feels a lot bigger.
But he said the answer, this is Dr. Kevin Lehman, isn't to just spruce up your sex life. The answer is to learn to connect. And that's what Barbie and I are here to do.
And that's where we're going right now.
Well, a number of years ago, we did a book called The 5 Love Needs of Men and Women. It's your favorite book that we wrote.
Yes, it is.
Of all the, 13 books we've done. And we researched 700 couples, and we identified the number 2 need for men. The number 2 love need is sex. And Barbie, it was number 13 for women.
And you're just glad that it made the list.
I'm just glad that it made the list because we may have shared this before, but there's a Florida State study where sex came in 37th for pleasure for women, just beating out sewing. And I remember one time we were in Tallahassee or wherever Florida State is, we were speaking. And I said, that study was done right here. So I'm looking at you guys, and there may be some sexually frustrated people in this room, but sex was the number 2 need. And so our publishers at Tyndale said, you need to do a follow-up book called The 5 Sex Needs of Men and Women. And this is where we talk about both physical sex, but we talk about non-sexual touch.
Yes, and read the byline. How to have great sex in a godly marriage.
Yeah.
So
God designed it, and it's awesome.
People don't talk about it, but we do. So anyway, thanks for recovering those two.
Yeah.
Also, we do want to talk about the power of non-sexual touch. Because in the first book you held up, The 5 Love Needs of Men and Women, it is the number 3 love need that research told us that a woman needs in order to feel really connected to her husband. So it means that sex is very important, of course, but non-sexual cuddling, holding, a kiss goodbye. Now, recently I heard Dr. John and Julie Gottman, and they were sharing that men, if you kiss your wife goodbye in the morning before you go to work, that you will live 5 years longer than the men that do not kiss their wives goodbye.
That's remarkable.
They also said, and I'm quoting the Gottmans, relationships have trust and commitment, confer these amazing benefits regarding your health. Listen to this. Your marriage provides resilience from illness. And if you're in a good marriage, connecting, cuddling, kissing one another goodbye, you can live 15 to 17 years longer than other men. So I need somebody to take care of me. So that means it's your job.
That's my job.
I'm going to take.
Someone's got to do it.
I'll do it. I'm going to take good care of you.
Yeah.
So that you can
take care of
me.
Mama, and Mama take care of you.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like,
Oh,
yeah,
well.
baby. And, so Barbie, when I look at that and I realize that those kisses,
Yeah.
before you go off to work,
Yeah.
to kiss each other at nighttime.
We did it a lot today
We did.
around the house.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Barbie, every morning I bring you coffee.
Yep. And we kiss each other first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog's yawning and stretching and looking at us. And,
Like, what about me?
yeah. And so, I take care of Sophie. But sexual and non-sexual touch is so critically important.
Mm-hmm.
When we do events, like we happen to be doing a date night the night after this recording, so it will be long gone by the time you see this or hear this. But one of the things that we do at those date nights are 6-second kisses.
Mm-hmm. The Dr. John and Julie Gottman.
Yes.
It comes from them.
And so we have couples intermittently throughout the evening. We put on some romantic music and then we say turn to one another and give each other a 6-second kiss. And we always put up a piece of paper because we said we're not here to watch you kiss. But you can just see the little endorphins bouncing all around the room.
Yeah.
And then we've been adding not only the 6-second kiss, but the
20-second
hug.
Yes. And it takes that long for your body, for your brain to really connect to the connection that's happening with your husband or with your wife, and you get hormones. You get a brain dump of dopamine, and the dopamine makes you feel so good. And all of a sudden, that kiss, that 6-second kiss or the hug is giving you communion with your spouse. And if you love the Lord's right in it with you. You're having communion with the Lord and your mate. It's pretty powerful. So throughout today, we've been doing a lot of passing one another.
It's called research for the radio podcast or whatever.
You want us to do research.
But you know what,
radio.
Barbie? I mean, women need non-sexual touch, but so do men. And sometimes we kid about it and say, men aren't really interested in it. That's not true. Men do desire non-sexual touch.
Well,
and it shows affection.
It
shows
physical.
belief.
Yeah.
Yeah, it releases tension.
Yeah.
It's a really strong part of relationships.
Well, think about the 5 love languages that is often confused with the 5 love needs of men and women. But Gary Chapman did a great job because physical touch is a beautiful gift that both men and women have. And they require, those that have that as a number one need, they require that during the day. So whether it's non-sexual or if it is sexual, but they need loads of non-sexual touch, a
good.
back rub, holding hands, putting your arm around one another. But it's engaging and touching. When we drive down the street, I've learned that my husband wants me to touch the back of his head or rub your head it's just we're connected. Life is short, you guys. Connect to one another.
So that's number one. Okay. Again, couples married 21 years or longer that are madly in love with each other have 4 criteria. Sexual and non-sexual touch is number 1. Sweetheart, what's number 2?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Well, the second thing is those couples did this. They had positive illusions of one another. And we really focus on gratefulness.
Yeah.
We really weigh and measure virtually every word. And if we go south and go negative, we are really quick. The other person usually says, we're going to pivot and we're going to rebuild this and bring in gratefulness. So we've really changed. The neuroscience will tell you that positive and grateful words will change the pathways in your brain. And you've got a lot more, like I said, dopamine. So I just really have positive illusions of you.
Well,
I'm serious. I mean, we've talked. No, I am so serious. I think really highly of you.
Well, thank you.
I do.
Yeah.
And I mean,
highly of you.
but the truth is that even when we on another program talked about those early years of infatuation, gratefulness stirs up the elements of infatuation. And there are moments, I look at you as though you're that 21-year-old that I met. Well, you might have been 20. But anyway, you're just wonderful.
Well, the positive illusions, Barbara, another way of framing that, and this works for me, is you see your spouse through rose-tinted glasses. And when we've read that in some of this research, I thought, that is a fascinating concept. You choose to see your spouse with the positivity. You choose to look beyond. Again, love covers a multitude of sins. You see your spouse and you believe the best in them. You don't look at them and diminish them or denigrate them. So sometimes we become we have a chosen blindness about their flaws. I mean, that's an interesting concept.
I like that.
It's not that you don't realize that there's some
I'm
flaws.
going to take your glasses away from you, and I'm going to look so good.
Well,
No, I'm
it's
kidding.
the rose-colored glasses.
It
You know,
is.
and Barbie, I think we saw that in your parents.
We did.
You know,
And
I
your
think we saw it
parents.
in my parents.
Totally.
That you give up on some of the things that, that kind of fuel the differences, and you connect to the unity, and you just choose. And your kids won't often get it. Your grandkids won't get it. Your friends won't get it because they can see the flaws and call them out. But you know what? They don't have the opportunity to be in that covenant of marriage. And Barbie and I are all about the covenant.
Yeah.
And so when you're in the covenant, you choose to see the other person in their best light.
I'd really like to add something
Yeah,
because
please.
men think so much more differently than we women. You have different needs, different perspectives. I mean, just the whole brain is different than ours. But when I learned from Jeff and Shanti Felden that men are walking around with an underlying tension that men feel inadequate, I was shocked. I thought, I am married to Gary Rosberg, and my view of you is so high. But, I've learned to put this in perspective. You and many men, most men, are walking around feeling like Clark Kent. You remember Clark Kent? Well, as wives, we look at you as Superman.
Superman.
I really do. It's like, take off your shirt and go, Superman. So I see you.
Yeah.
I see you that way. And I think it's really healthy to bring out the best of your husband.
Yeah.
Remind him what he does well. Remind him that there's no man on earth as good and as right and as wonderful as him.
And
that's the
he's not your
truth.
house project to change.
No.
He is your spouse. He is your lover. He's your soulmate.
He's
in
your
order
king.
to go through life together.
And if he's treating you like a queen, please treat him like a king.
Well, Philippians 4:8 says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, think about such things. And you guys, it doesn't mean that these aren't delusions. These are illusions. We choose to call out the best in the other person. You think we don't all know how messy we are? I mean, I know, Barb, that I'm inadequate. I know that I
you're
don't
not.
measure. Well,
No.
But I know the flaws, and God
don't.
meets me in them every day.
But because you're taking that place of self-examination, then I get the overflow of loving you no matter how you see yourself.
So the first secret is physical and non-sexual intimacy. The second secret is look at your spouse through rose-colored glasses.
So Gary dropped me off. We went out to dinner the other night, and I was being seated at a table, and a woman said to me, "You'll be joined by someone else." Yes. Can you describe him? Yes. He is tall, he's dark, and he's handsome. And then I thought, well, he's always been dark, but he's a little silver today. But you'll know him when he comes in because he's beaming and he's beautiful. And then she brought you right over to the table.
I know. I said, where's the hot mama that if you take care of mama, mama will take care of you?
You're liking that, aren't you?
Okay, number 3, Barbie,
That's right.
is verbalizing the good.
You betcha.
So not only sexual and non-sexual touch, but also rose-colored glasses. But it's not just enough to see your spouse that way. What this research said is you got to verbalize it. You got to tell them. You got to say it out loud.
And sometimes we have couples that fly in and we work with them and we do Zoom technology in some life coaching, marriage coaching with them. But the reality is you've got to change your thinking if you're really stuck in that negative vein. Because it's amazing. You can be having a really great day. And if your spouse drops criticism, it's almost like a danger zone for your brain. And then there's cortisol that dumps from your brain into your gut. And what was really a great balanced day can turn into chaos for a number of hours. Are our words powerful? Yes, they are. And we need to seek to remove the negativity and remind ourselves to plant truth and encouragement and courage in our spouses' lives.
You know, we probably shared with you before, but Dr. Gottman did some research that said during a typical dinner hour with a family, so let's say there are 4, 5, 6 people sitting around the table, there are what he calls 100 bids that are set out amongst those people. So their looks, their touches, their comments, their flirtations, their gratitudes, their questions, you're bidding.
You're bidding for attention.
You're bidding for attention. You're bidding
connection.
For the connection. So you're bidding for the attention, but it's got to lead to the connection. And what this other research said was at least 2 or 3 times a day, say out loud the affirmations, the blessings, the encouragement to your spouse. Gottman says there's 100 of those going on, and that the most of the men that divorce missed the bids in their marriages. More women got the bids than men. But men, if you miss the bids, either the ones that your wife or your kids are sending you or that you're trying to send and they're being blocked, if those bids don't connect, that's what leads to divorce, because we disconnect from one another. So you got to say the things that you're thinking out loud. You got to encourage the other person. Proverbs 18:21 says, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Mm-hmm. That is so good.
It is so good. And Gary, when we bring out the best in one another, we're building resiliency in the marriage, because there's going to be time there are conflicts, or when we see things not eye to eye, when we have to go through the valleys to get to the mountains, or you have to bridge through those conflicts. We pray very quickly. But reality is this: if you can join with one another, build the resiliency, bring out safety and trust, you grow that in your marriage, you can kind of handle everything as you're choosing to walk in oneness together.
So say it out loud. Say it privately with your spouse. Say it in front of your kids to your spouse. Say it in front of her parents or his parents.
Say it in prayers.
Say it in prayers. Say it amongst friends. In other words, be a blessing, not a curse. Speak blessings. And Barbie, there's nobody who does this better than you. I mean, you encourage everyone virtually everywhere we go. I mean, we'll be in a store, we'll be at a checkout, we'll be you just bless people.
We're all vessels.
Well,
we're just vessels.
But people draw because you know what? They're so thirsty for that affirmation and that encouragement, for someone to believe in them, to show gratitude for them, and to just come alongside and lift up their arms. So do it. Be known as somebody who gives a blessing. Not somebody that turns your face into a sourpuss response. Well, Barbie, what's number 4?
Well, number 4 is sharing experiences.
And adventures.
With one another. And I wrote down earlier, we're not just roommates. We are teammates. And it's really about experiences. I mean, at this place in our life, we're very, very active, but we're a lot slower than we were when we were working for full time. Like for 40 years, we were probably doing about 6 jobs. And
now we're doing about 2 or 3.
Or 4. Yeah. But here's the thing. We do it together.
Yeah.
And we have joy. And we have so many things to talk about, because I'll say, do you remember? And you'll go, yes, I remember. And we were talking to this person. And it's not a separate life. We share our lives with one another, and we are teammates. What is it? Team we.
So when you plan adventures, when you plan experiences, here's the research, that it creates and aligns neural pathways in the brain between 2 people. So when you're visioning it, when you're thinking about it, when you're talking about it, when you're figuring out how to budget and set it aside, and you start making the plans. I was sharing with some friends that I gathered, these guys, every 6-8 weeks. And we call ourselves the Romeos, really old men encouraging others.
2.0.
And I get these guys together, and they're up in our living room yesterday evening, and we just connect with one another. But I was telling them about our 50th anniversary and showing them some video of that with 15 members of our family all participating. And they just said, how did you plan this thing? And I said, well, I mean, I kind of planned it and produced it and spent a year doing that. But all along the path, I was interacting with Barb, and she was then planning parts, and then I was planning parts, and then we talked to different people, and connected the dots and trying to navigate getting 15 family members, all together to take several days to celebrate Barbie and celebrate God's blessings to us of 50 years was quite a deal. It was an adventure. It was an experience. And you know what? It strengthens marriage. You want to have a great marriage, plan together, vision together, dream together. And sometimes that dream means that you go pitch a tent, at the local campground, and you go for a weekend. And other times that dream means you go off to a place. But you know what? The dream may be that you go out for a date tonight. And I told Barb, maybe after we get out of the studio, let's maybe go out to a movie tonight or just do something to enjoy one another. It can be a bike ride, Barbie. It can be cooking together. It can be learning a new skill. It can be brainstorming something or remembering something or putting together photos and chronicling life. But when we do adventures together, that's one of the 4 things that really help us stay connected.
That's right. Shared memories are a great way. It's the strongest predictor of a lifelong marital satisfaction. So, wow, that's where we really want to plant a lot of seed.
Well, you want to be crazy about each other. Here's what it means. You got to be intentional. It doesn't just happen. And it doesn't happen when we're passive. It happens when we're active. It happens when we're other-centered. It happens when we're thinking about our spouse, praying for our spouse, expressing love to our spouse. These 4 criteria for couples married 21 years or longer, we're madly in love. That's who we want to be. And many of you are there. And some of you are there, and we get to contribute to that with this podcast or our resources or being your marriage coaches. That's awesome. Thank you for that privilege. Others of you are saying, I think we've lost that. Well, all 4 of these things are rich with things that you can do. So it means be more expressive sexually, more expressive non-sexually. It means choose to see your spouse in a greater light rather than through critical lenses. It means expressing out loud your affirmation and your blessing. And it means planning things and sharing memories and adventures together. Those are all 4 things you can do regardless of the stage of your marriage. And here's our premise. We believe that couples that kind of saddle up with the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches, and you're part of this movement to strengthen your marriage, these are ways that you can really enhance and encourage this institution of marriage so that your kids can have more security, you can leave behind a legacy that's going to make a difference, and you have more joy along the way.
Yeah, and you don't settle. You want a lifetime of this legacy love that we're talking about. Yeah. So be intentional. The little things are just as important as the big things. And it's the little steps. It's being more positive. It's being more grateful. It's all the things that you just said so well.
Yeah, we want to be madly in love. Barbie and I are. I love you.
I know.
I'm crazy about you.
I love you too.
And I don't want that to go away. We realize at this stage of life that there's a lot more journey behind us than there is ahead of us. And so we're even more purposeful to make the most of each and every day.
We're doubling down.
Yeah, we double down because we want to squeeze every bit of life out of the life that God gives us because he's preparing us for the next life, and that's eternal life with him. Yeah, and we know that your last breath, you guys, is your best breath. That's what my buddy Steve Farrar told me. Your last breath is your best breath because then you're in eternity if you know Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. And we pray that for you, that you surrender your lives to Christ, that you experience the power of the Holy Spirit, that you walk in unity, that you're not only a blessing and bringing glory to God, but you're bringing a blessing to your spouse, that you're affirming them and you're believing in them and you're speaking well of them and you draw to each other. You know what? I want to walk in a restaurant after I drop Barb off and, gotten you situated and parked the car. I want to walk in and I want to sparkle because when I see her, I do. And when she sees me, she lights up. That's not something that just comes by happenstance. That's something that comes through years of forging through and connecting and building the interdependence so that we celebrate one another and glorify Christ in our marriage. And then we have fun. We have these 12 grandkids, and gosh, we took care of 3 of them for 3 or 4 nights 2 weeks ago, one of them for 3 or 4 nights last week. We get to be with them and interact with them and just have memories with them. Mm-hmm. The other night, you were having such connection with one of our 12 grandkids, And I stepped away because the conversation got more and more intimate between you and that grandchild. And I was doing dishes and, kind of listening out of the corner of the room. But I looked up at her face, Barb. I looked at her countenance. And it was so tender because she was talking to Gaga. And she was sharing her secrets and sharing her yearnings and sharing her wonder and sharing her, what she might want to do. And then she laughed. She said, I tell people that you and I dance together, and Papa's usually in the corner. Sometimes he'll dance, but sometimes he's just smiling, watching. And then she turned on music on her, and she had a
playlist.
Yeah, playlist on her iPhone. And she started playing songs that you have played for her for all of her life. And you guys were dancing. And I got into a little bit of the dance, but you guys were just dancing. I was watching you, just saying, you know what, this is a life well lived. Not only are we still madly in love with each other, but these kids, these grandkids, they see joy and they want to be drawn to joy. And so, guys, if you're struggling, if you're hurting, we get that. We've had stages where we've been struggling, we've been hurting, where life has been hard. But don't cave to that stuff. Push through it, get to the other side. And honey, you say it almost every podcast, life is short. Mm-hmm. So cherish it. Grab every minute of it until there's nothing left. Well, we're Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg, your marriage coaches. We're delighted you joined us. We ask you to join us again next time. Go ahead and rate this and send it to other people. Make comments on your podcast, whatever platform you listen to. Spread the word. Check out our resources at americasfamilycoaches.com and the rosberggroup.com and learn more about what we're doing so that we can resource and encourage you.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for joining us. Guard your heart.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.
Hey listeners, make sure to stay up to date with the Rosbergs by subscribing to their show, Your Marriage Coaches, on any major podcast platform such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you will get an alert each time a new episode is released. Whatever platform you're listening on, please rate the podcast and leave us a review.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg. To find out more, go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Once you're there, you can check out the many resources that they have available. From their many books to their informative video series, 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love, they've got all the tools you need to help you grow deeper in your relationship with your spouse and with God. Go to americasfamilycoaches.com and click on the Resources tab. Also, if you have a marriage question, you can call 855-ROSBERG and leave a message with your question. We may use your question on a future episode. We appreciate your prayers and support for this ministry. Find out how you can come alongside us when you go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Just search the top of the index for the Donate tab. Thank you for listening in today. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
How's your marriage really doing? Not just on the surface, but at its core. Whether you've been married for 2 years or 20, every couple needs a moment to pause, reflect, and grow. That's why Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg created the brand new Rosberg Marriage Wellness Checkup, a powerful tool built on decades of coaching, research, and their Gold Medallion Award marriage book, The 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love. With this assessment, you and your spouse, or even your small group, can discover where your marriage is thriving and where it needs a little extra care. You'll explore 14 essential areas, from trust and vulnerability to romance, boundaries, faith, and even how you divide responsibilities at home. Think of it as a map for your marriage, showing where you are and where to build. Because rediscovering the love of your life starts with knowing how you're really doing together. Go to rosberggroup.com/marriage-wellness and start your journey to a stronger, more connected marriage today.